Okay, so the part that you are most ashamed of is not your enemy. It may be carrying intelligence, it may be carrying protection, desire, grief. What's trapped under all those years of shame? And the more we exile it, the more powerful it usually becomes. So today I want to talk to you about shadow work, and not as confession, not as exposure, but really in a way that allows us to bring forth the parts of us in a little, in a way that's less heavy, right? In a way that isn't um, so dense, maybe a little more human, you know? Because when people hear the word shadow, they often think, dangerous, wrong, bad, something dark, right? And the shadow doesn't mean bad. The shadow means hidden. Um, it's it's the part of us that somewhere along the way we learned was not safe to be seen, wasn't safe to be felt, um, not safe to be named or belong. And the shadow can be anything. It can be fear, it can be worry, it can be anger, judgment, jealousy, control, avoidance. It can be comparison, it can be desire, it can be need, it can be grief, resentment, or the parts of us that want to disappear, or the part that wants to be chosen, or the part that's tired of being strong, the part that we don't want to talk about, the part that feels embarrassing. And that part is tied to our spiritual work, because that's the part that's tired of being spiritual about everything and just wants to be honest, you know? And this is what I've been writing about in my book that I'm working on, Unbecoming. It's that the problem is not oneness. I love oneness, right? I'm a spiritual practitioner. I believe in one source, one power, one life, one. Oneness is truth. But the problem begins when oneness gets to be interpreted psychologically as sameness, right? One right way to be, one acceptable identity, one approved version of ourselves. And there's like an inner authority that decides like which parts are acceptable, which parts are spiritual, which parts are mature, which parts are healed, which parts are loved, and what parts need to be cast out, right? But the soul doesn't really work that way. The psyche is multiple. There's a pantheon of voices within us. And there's a part that, wants safety, and a part that wants freedom. And so a part of us, like part of me, trusts life without doubt. And there's a part of me that's scared, that's scanning for danger and is worried about the future. There's definitely a part of me that wants to forgive, and a part of me that's angry, you know? And and especially a part that knows that I'm perfect, whole, and complete. I'm an emanation of God, and one part that feels terrified that I'll never be enough. So these contradictions I used to interpret as I'm an imposter. I'm broken. There's obviously something wrong. I can't be this spiritual person and have all these other parts, you know? But they're not proof that I was failing spiritually. They're the many voices of our inner life that were never meant to be perfectly polished and flat. And I want to make this personal without making it too specific, but recently I went through some, I don't know, some shadow. The work that I've been doing, teaching and writing about, around self acceptance. Uh, as I was doing that, some very private and tender aspects of myself came forward, aspects that didn't fit the polished image of the spiritual teacher, the healer, the responsible adult, the one who's got it all worked out, went through all this already. Um, and I'm not sharing the details or the specifics because the details aren't the teaching. The relationship is the teaching. The way we relate to these parts is the teaching. And what I saw is that when these parts arrive, I usually have two moves, right? I either kind of suppress them and privilege the polished self, or I unconsciously like give into them and then deal with the guilt and shame later, you know? And those are the only two options I knew, like either surrender, collapse, or exile, and or reject, or go to unconscious surrender, you know? Maybe you know that pattern too. Maybe the content is different for you, but the movement is familiar. A part arises, you know, and then fear arises, and then desire arises, or anger arises, or a need arises, or jealousy, or judgment. And immediately there's an inner critic that says, no, 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 not this, not this, not again. We're past this. We already worked on this. I thought I was more healed than this. I thought I was more spiritual than this. I thought I was more evolved than this. And then the shame comes. And once the shame comes, the part starts to look darker than it actually is, because the shame makes it dangerous. The secrecy, the hiding makes it more powerful and bigger. And then we start to think that the part, that aspect of us, is the problem. But actually, the exile is what's intensifying our suffering. So today, I want to offer this. The appearance of an exiled part is not always a sign that we're regressing spiritually or emotionally. Sometimes the part of us is not showing up because we're failing. It's showing up because it's ready to be brought into consciousness, into a relationship. Like you've probably done enough work that now those walls that have been built so strongly are actually weakening, and these parts can actually start to come through. The parts that you've been putting in the basement, they're actually coming up out of the basement now, you know? And this is where the spiritual principle becomes so important, right? The spiritual principle is God is all there is. There's no outside of this divine presence. There's no spot where God is not. There's no corner of your soul where love cannot go. And it doesn't mean that every desire is guidance, or that every fear is truth, or that every wounded part becomes the authority of our life. But it does mean that that part can be brought into our awareness, and that it can be met with our presence. It can be understood. It can be softened. It can be matured. It can be transformed. This is actually real oneness, not a slogan, not an idea, but a lived practice, because oneness must be tolerant of difference. Oneness is not sameness. Oneness must be tolerant of difference. And this lived practice is to say, I can recognize this part, even the part that I judge, even the part that I want to hide and bury, the part that I don't even know how to love yet. I don't know how, but I can at least make the agreement that I'm going to stop shaming it. I'm going to stop exiling it. I'm going to stop pushing it out. And I'm going to bring it into the altar of my consciousness without exiling it and without collapsing to it. I don't know how to meet it with love, but I want to try and meet it there. I don't know how to be in relationship with that part of me that I have been, that's not me. Absolutely not me. Can't be. Don't want anyone to know about that. I would look bad. I would look unevolved. I would, whatever it is, right? Because so much of our suffering comes from believing that there are places within us that we can't go. And that's the illusion, that there's some part of us that is actually unacceptable. Some part of us that so full of guilt and shame can never be brought to the surface. But there's no place that love cannot go. There are only places where we haven't allowed love to enter. Reverend Michael has a beautiful statement: pain pushes until the vision pulls. And I think that the shadow often begins to push the pain, right? And the repeated patterns push. The anxiety pushes, the fear pushes, the judgment pushes, the shame pushes, the resentment pushes, the desire that we don't know how to hold, that all pushes us. And the part that we keep exiling keeps returning right? Not because it's seeking to destroy us, but because it's something that wants to be known. So the pain, it starts pushing us when the old arrangement of exile no longer holds up. But that's when the vision of who we are, of what's possible, of what it is to live an integrated life, of what it is to live accepting ourselves completely, that vision begins to pull. We begin to see that there might be some information in these parts that we've been exiling. Maybe the fear is carrying some information for us, a little discernment. Maybe the worry is asking for a little bit of care, and the judgment wants some clarity. Control might be longing for safety. There's some information there. When we're avoiding, it may be asking, for some rest from the overwhelm. And comparison might be pointing us into an unclaimed dream. Excuse me. The part that looked like the problem may be carrying the energy for the next expression of your next greatest yet to be. That's alchemy. Not making the part wrong, not making the part God, but bringing the part into God. There's no outside of God. Bring it into our love, bringing it into conscious relationship so that the energy can be transformed. And this is integration. Integration is not suppression. Integration is not only being the perfect evolved self. Integration does not say, you can't belong here. Integration doesn't say, this part is all of me. Integration says, I see you. I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to stop beating you up. I'm willing to wait to see what can emerge if I just sit in this tension. That's the third way. So we have these opposites, these polar opposites of, the good self and the bad self, the acceptable one and the one that isn't acceptable. And the move has always been, go here to the perfected self until that becomes too much, and then you collapse into the not self, into the shadow, and it consumes you, and then you feel guilt and shame, and then you come back, and we kind of go back and forth. The third way is not collapsing into one or the other, but in holding the tension of both of those paradoxes and waiting. Because the masculine mind wants the answer. What's the integration path? Just give me the process. What are the journal prompts? I'll do it. Just tell me. What's the path? There's no path. The path is sitting in the discomfort of the pull of those two, the paradox of those two poles. And the psyche will automatically seek balance. The psyche and the body are always seeking homeostasis. So if you hold that tension, it will find a third way. It will find a synthesis that's completely new, completely you, and completely a surprise. And sometimes that third way doesn't appear immediately. Sometimes we have a breakthrough, a clarity, and the old pattern comes back the next day. That doesn't mean the breakthrough was false. It means that there's integration. And that practice is holding the tension. The part that wants freedom and the part that wants safety. The part that wants to be revealed and the part that wants to hide. The part that wants a new life and the part that loves and is loyal. And we're not wrong or bad or broken or failing because we have these contradictions. We're not imposters. We're not fake because we have contradiction. We're human. And the integration of that is to learn to begin to accept our whole self, to not abandon either truth, and to hold the tension long enough for something deeper to emerge. And this is what Jung called the transcendent function, the meeting place between the conscious and the unconscious parts, where the psyche is like birthing something new. And it has to do with waiting. It doesn't have to do with suppression or collapse or forcing something to happen. It has to do with creating a new relationship, and a living synthesis emerges. And this matters, beyond our personal lives, because the way we treat the parts of us inside becomes the way we treat the world outside of us. If I can't hold my fear, I'm going to look and judge everybody who's fearful. If I can't hold my anger, I'm going to demonize others that are angry. If I can't hold my contradiction, I'm going to be looking for all the falsities in other people. And then this is how the shadow becomes collective. Families do this, communities do this, politics does this, nations do this. This is what we're doing right now on a geopolitical level, you know? And that's why that good old chestnut, whenever I point a finger, I got 3 pointing back at me. It's because the projection out is the part that we don't want to deal with. And this is really how personal transformation becomes global transformation, world transformation, because a world that works for the best and highest good of all is not created by people who are exiling part of themselves and then projecting that exile out into the world. It's created by people who are learning how to become whole enough to stop making enemies out of what they have not yet learned how to love. Boy, isn't that the phrase for this global political situation? We're making enemies out of things that people, places, and things, and within ourselves that we haven't learned how to love yet. And so this doesn't mean we lose our boundaries, and it doesn't mean we pretend that harmful behavior is okay. It doesn't mean that we abandon discernment or become passive or collapse. It just means that we're no longer at war with ourselves, and that we can meet the world with more clarity, more courage, more presence. So if you want to work with this today, here's a simple practice. Thank you, Donna. Donna says, it's so good. It's hitting with such truth. Thank you. I've been working on this, girl. This has been coming up in me. Okay, observe, feel, ask, heal. First, observe the part that arises, and just notice that this is a part of me. It's not all of me. It's a part of me. Part of me is angry. A part of me is afraid. A part of me wants to hide. A part of me is judging. A part of me wants to be chosen. A part of me wants to create. And then, so just observe first. Secondly, feel, right? When this thing comes up, where do you feel it in your body? Is it in your chest, your throat, or your belly? Is it in your shoulders? Does it have a sensation to it? Is it bumpy? Is it smooth? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it heavy? Is it numb? Is it throbbing? Is it tingling? Get in touch with it. We're not trying to fix it. We're not trying to change it. We're just locating it. And it's in the body. It's the nervous system. It's a psychosomatic connection. So observe and then feel it. Get in touch with it in the body. And then we're going to ask. We're going to ask some empowering questions. What are you trying to protect? What are you carrying? What information do you have for me? What do you need me to understand? What age are you associated with? What energy might be hidden underneath this shame, this guilt? What's seeking to emerge? And then listen. The answer might not come, but it could come as a word. It could come as a phrase. It could come as a feeling or a sensation or an emotion or a memory or a lyric. It could just come as a knowing, but let it come. And if it doesn't, wait. That's the part. The masculine aspect of us wants the answer immediately. Okay, great. We're going to do shadow work. Please give me the prompts. I'll go ahead and do the process, right? The process is observe, notice it in the body, feel it in the body, ask the empowering questions. What are you carrying? What do you need me to know? What do you need right now? What are you holding? And then heal. The heal portion is something simple, just one thing that will help you soften. It might be just saying, I see you, anger or kinkiness or sadness or joy, or I see you wanting to hide. I see you compulsive behavior. I see you. And I don't know how to relate to you yet, but I'm willing to stop you and beating you down. I'm willing to at least let you into the circle of love. And we're not here to fix anything. We're not here to resolve anything immediately. We're here to just say, I'm not going to abandon you anymore. I'm not going to abandon myself. You're welcome here. That part that you don't want people to know about, that part that you think is taking you away from work and taking you away from the things that you're supposed to be doing, that part is welcome. It doesn't get to run the whole show, but it gets to come in from the rain. Because when it's out in the rain or when it's in the basement, it's actually running the show. This is the practice. Holding it, not collapsing, not exiling, holding that, the perfect you, the one that you present to everybody, and the dark underbelly, both in the same place, holding those, a third way will emerge. It's staying in relationship long enough for the love and the wisdom of that part of you to emerge. So you might ask yourself, what part of me have I been trying to exile? What part of me am I too embarrassed to admit into the circle of love? What part of me keeps knocking at the door? And instead of asking what's wrong with me, you might ask, what is this part trying to show me? You know? What am I willing to hold in compassion long enough and awareness long enough that it can become a doorway to a new life, to a whole life, to a wholeness that's within me, that's always been within me? Can I hold it long enough? Not perfection, not performance, not exposure, but relationship. This is the part of me, and I'm learning how to meet it. I don't know how to meet it. The only way I've met it before is to beat it down. Okay, for today, that's enough. Thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Blessings.